Welcome to the Sacred Success Summit, where you access the secrets to sacred success and become even more of the goddess you've always known you were. Ranchelle Van Bryce is a dynamic force dedicated to helping women live their purpose and manifest success in all life facets, from professional achievements to creating a new relationship with their business. As a business intuitive, sacred commerce coach, author, and host of a podcast TV show, she excels in illuminating each woman's unique potential. Co-creator of this summit, Ranchelle is eager to introduce another inspirational guest. Take it away, Ranchelle.
We're just going to dive right in, okay? And I have the pleasure, thank you so much, of introducing Vireo. I will never forget your name because you said first thing that when I met you, Vireo rhymes with Cheerio, so forever, right? Vireo is a pleasure coach and is a sacred femininity and sexuality expert. She is the co-creatrix of the pleasure program where women in sisterhood can dissolve shame, transform beliefs and fears, increase self and body love, feel more connected and feminine, increase their confidence. Vireo is on a mission to educate women, especially mothers and daughters, about what they don't know about female anatomy and sexuality. Every woman deserves to feel safe, healthy, and empowered in their feminine body. Vireo, thank you. Welcome. And I know that you have so much to share. And before that, though, would you just take a minute and share a little bit about your story, and then let's dive into this juicy content that you have.
All right. Yeah, I have more than a minute, but maybe I will.
You can take as long as you want.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump right off the deep end. There's no foreplay. We're just gonna jump right
Beautiful.
in. Yeah, so I can literally remember in that first marriage of 17 years, marriage that I left, when we would make love, have sex, he would be snoring 10 minutes after. Paulo Coelho, who wrote The Alchemist, also wrote 11 minutes, and he said that most of us are having sex for 11 minutes. I don't know about you, but I'm not even ready after 11 minutes. And so I would love to know in the chat if anybody else can relate that 11
Right?
minutes.
I was just going to say, right?
Oh my God, right? So just give me a 11 in the chat if you can relate, like maybe you've been having sex for 11 minutes too. And I used to lay under the covers. This is really vulnerable. I used to lay under the covers really still, and I would put my hand underneath and I would masturbate. And I can't even call it self-pleasuring because it was completely devoid of pleasure. It was filled with shame, and I was literally just trying to take the edge off my body.
Yeah.
And no fault to that husband, no fault to me. And if that's your experience, no fault to you. We were the blind leading the blind. I wasn't educated. I didn't know about this body. And fast track, after leaving that marriage, I had this incredible experience of a tantric lover. So the exact opposite. We were together for 3 years, and then he literally left me with a text message that said, I release you. I was in a puddle of tears here on the deck outside my cabin, down on bended knees. And I was a fucking mess, crying, snot everywhere, tears. And the voices in my head were saying, you're a failure, a loser again at relationship. You can't do this. And I literally just prayed, and I'm like, okay, help me. And the message I got was be sovereign. And I'm like, what the hell does sovereign mean? I'd never used that word in my entire life. And then I had this like deep in my soul. It was like, sovereign. And I literally, in that next while, over the next year, I actually bought myself a crown.
I love
and I was
it.
like, be sovereign. I dedicated 13 months to loving this body. I wanted to find that sacred union that I experienced with that tantric lover. I wanted to find that for myself.
Yeah.
I'd had the taste of it. And that was the biggest favor he did me, was by leaving, because I found my home in my body, my sacred union, my feminine and my masculine. I went to Thailand. I studied sacred sexuality. I became a believer patterning practitioner and learned how to bust through the shame. And I came back. Remember, if you've seen the movie When Harry Met Sally, remember the Meg Ryan scene? She's like, oh, 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 give me an O in the chat if you know that scene. I came back from Thailand and people are like, we want what you're having, Vireo. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And so I live in a cabin. I'm an introvert, but something deeper in me, my soul said, you must teach women what they don't even know they don't know about their own body. I launched the pleasure program. Women came to me, pun intended, no pun intended, but pun taken. And they started having more confidence, loving their bodies. They started being able to ask for what they wanted in and out of the bedroom. And we're 6 years in, and I am so excited to be here because every one of you, you have a right to live a satisfying orgasmic life as well. And that's why I'm here showing up, talking about this taboo subject.
Right. I love it. I love it. And I know you have some really pointed and poignant and mind-blowing, pun intended, shares with us. And so why don't you start with your first, what we refer to in our world here as your first paradigm shift for our audience here today.
Yeah, a big one is you might be thinking right now, well, Vireo, sex takes two.
Right.
And I don't have a partner. Sex takes two people.
Yeah. And for you, that's incorrect information, isn't it? You know, we've had
Hell
this discussion back and forth that you can't have sex with yourself. And like my perspective of that, and I'm looking for correction, is it's the intimacy, and it's more than just masturbating, right? I mean, that's part of it, perhaps. And I'd love for you to maybe just expand a little bit on what you mean by it doesn't take two. I mean, we know that we can masturbate, but how do
yeah.
you masturbate without shame?
Yeah, that's a huge one. And I would say every single person on this planet has shame, whether they're aware of it or not.
Yeah.
And most people are maybe even not even aware because it's just been inundated with us through religion, through the magazines that leap out at us in Cosmopolitan, everywhere. I would say if you're not self-pleasuring without shame and exploring this body, you are depriving yourself of epic orgasmic sex with a partner, with a beloved, and you're also depriving yourself of a connection with the divine. It's like a pathway. For me, it has become a pathway to success, a pathway to God, to source, whatever you want to call that power. And most of us are accessing, like me in that marriage, where we're not really, we're like at the root chakra level. We're like at Maslow's hierarchy, lowest possible level. We're getting fast food. We're not actually accessing the pleasure that's available when we connect mind, body, and soul, and we connect spirit, and we're not goal oriented to get to the orgasm. We're actually having so much pleasure in the moment that orgasm is it's probably beyond anything that I had certainly experienced. It's this place of ecstasy. Ecstasy is actually our birthright, but we don't live in a state of ecstasy. There's a drug called ecstasy. I
Right.
literally live in a place of ecstasy most of the time. And people have asked me at events when I'm dancing freely and I'm wild and I'm wearing crowns, they ask me what I'm on.
Yeah.
Like, did I
Right.
take some
Yeah.
drugs?
Yeah.
Did I take some drugs or alcohol? And I don't drink and I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. And they scream. One woman screamed at me. She's like, oh my God, I would have to be so drunk or stoned or both to be so free. So it's this access to intoxicated by life, drunk on life, on yourself. You have this access to pleasure that you don't even know exists.
Right. I think that's the piece of you don't even know it exists. Like my first experience, you're talking about tantric experience. My first experience in that was an energetic orgasm. And I was like, and it was like a huge, for those of you who didn't know we were talking taboo, like here we go, is a huge gusher. And I was like, what the actual, actually I'm gonna say what the actual fuck. And and I know that, when we've had different, times that I've talked at different times while we're preparing for the summit. It's those pieces I think that women aren't even aware of that are available to them. One, because they were unaware, and two, around the shame piece. And the first time that I heard someone say to me, as one of a tantric coach, she said, the goal of masturbating, Ranchel, isn't to orgasm. And I was like, then what's the point, right? What's the point? And so she started to laugh, and we talked a little bit about that. And I know that from your viewpoint, you have so much more that you want to share. And so I'd love for you to share your second point that you want the audience here to contemplate and look at things differently. So what's your second paradigm shift for us?
Yeah, people will tell you as a woman that as you age, your libido is going to crash and you're going to dry up.
Right. Yeah. And that's not true, is it? And so I'd love for you to share, about breaking that myth with us, because I don't know about anybody else, but that was one thing that people said to me as I entered, and I entered menopause early, and they're like, "Oh my God, your sex life is over." I'm like, no, it just gets better. I'm aging like wine, right? And so, Viri, I would love for you, as you put on your pussy ears, to talk about that, please.
Yeah, that's such a fucking lie, like a gross lie. And the reason it happens is a lot of misinformation about menopause. We're disconnected from our bodies. I was disconnected from my body. I wasn't even like in my mind. I was like disassociated completely. And it's because of a lot of that we experience some of the challenges. And so it's actually our prime time as women. We are the most sexual. We're not bleeding anymore. We're not wasting energy. Energy isn't being drained when we bleed and menstruate because we're done with that. So we actually are plugged directly in to Mother Earth, to Source, to everything. It is our most creative, powerful time as women, and that includes our sexuality. You have infinite access to your sexuality. And if you're not tapping in, you are missing out on everything in your life is diminished if you are not tapping into that source of your sexual life force energy. And the world does not want you to know that, because you will be fucking powerful, unstoppable. You will not give a flying fuck what other people think.
Yeah.
And the world would rather have you be a submissive, easily manipulated, quiet woman. You're not quiet when you're tapped into that. You are on purpose, and you will know why you're here.
So powerful, everyone. Can you feel that? It's like, oh my goodness. And like the one thing that I would love the audience to know about what you're saying is that when you tap into that power, like when you truly tap into it on a regular conscious basis, it affects every area of your life, not just what happens sexually, but your other like relationships, relationship with self, others, your relationship like with your business, like those pieces all come together, right? When we're talking about that. Now, I know you have another point that you want to share with us. We have tons of time right here. And I know you have a gift. So you have a gift for anyone who registered, for the event. And I would love for you to share what that gift is. And then Shauna, our incredible producer, is going to drop the gift link right there. Here's what I want the audience to do is that you're going to be talking and listen, or you're going to be listening to a lot of people. And so if you love what Vero is speaking about, and who doesn't, grab that link right now and keep it in an open browser. Now it's there also in your login, your portal login, but I would really love for you to go grab her gift right now. And so we don't need the upgrade link at all, Shauna, because that's just for people who bought the VIP ticket. But certainly, Vireo, please share with us your regular gift.
Yeah, and my regular gift is going to make more sense in a moment when I share the last paradigm shift that we're offering. It is a guide so that you can bust through the shame. It is a 7-step guide with my superpower tool of belief or patterning that It's a document that guides you through the 7 steps of belief or patterning so that you can dissolve body shame, shame around sexuality, shame. Maybe even you've got shame moving when we're talking and the way I'm talking about sex. Maybe you got like so much shame coming up in you right now. If you do, you're normal. You're probably like most of the women out there. So it's okay. Take a breath. It'll be a beginning point to begin to unlock and transform some of that shame. It'll bring it from the subconscious to your consciousness. And that's going to be in your inbox. And I'm super excited because that was the beginning step for me, was to start to dissolve the shame.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. And for and everyone, that link is wrong. So we're going to get the correct link. And I can grab that. Actually, I think I can have access to that. Vireo, please share your third paradigm shift with us. And then when you're done that, talk a little bit about the VIP gift while I grab your regular gift.
Yeah, you have been programmed, even if you don't know it, to believe that sex is sinful. Sex is full of sin.
Yeah.
Every single person.
Yeah.
Every single person in the Western world, that's the lie that we've been told.
Yeah, right. And so, I mean, we're indoctrinated with that. So, I guess share your expertise on that. Like, how is it not sinful? Especially, masturbation, because that's when we're talking about self-love, self-sex, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's even more so for women. Men, they're kind of, even if you think of your first sexual experience, men are like applauded, men are encouraged, like, whoa, way to go, right? Women, we have 2 choices, okay? We can either be the pure Madonna, virgin, we're not having sex, or we just don't talk about it because we're like above that. And if you think back in the Victorian times, women were actually supposed to lay there and not move. If the woman moved and had an orgasm, she was considered a woman of ill repute and she was considered a prostitute and not good. So her husband, can you imagine, for him, not very pleasurable either if your wife is laying there like a dead fish, right?
Right.
And so they were allowed to go to prostitutes. They could go to a prostitute, the men could. So that's not that long ago, okay? Victorian period, not that long ago. So we have that in our body. The other option, so we can be the virgin, pure, innocent, or we can be the whore, the prostitute, the slut. And those are the 2 options we're given as women. And it's like, either way there's shame, right? Either way there's like, oh my God, it must be bad. I want to be the good girl. I don't know about you, but I've been a people pleaser, good girl. I was the best good girl my whole life.
Yeah.
And so when we're wanting to be a good girl or a good boy, it's usually the girls, right? We feel like when we break out of that, we're like naughty. We have shame around it. We don't want to tell people. And so it's important to shift those paradigms, right? And to actually embrace after you bust through the shame, and it won't be done and gone. Every time you step into more of you, every time you express more of your beauty, more of your femininity, more of your success.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing session on the Sacred Success Summit. For more information or to apply to be a speaker at one of our upcoming events, email our team at breakthrough@clarityconfidenceconnection.com. Now, tune in to another transformational speaker.
You all on the other side. Thank you so much, Vireo. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you again. And Vireo will chat at the end of the day. So talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing session on the Sacred Success Summit. For more information or to apply to be a speaker at one of our upcoming events, email our team at breakthrough@clarityconfidenceconnection.com. Now, tune in to another transformational speaker.